What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Black and Beautiful Chit Chat Connections, where we are a professional platform with an authentic twist. That's right. We are living our best lives. We are being our authentic selves here on this platform. I cannot thank you guys enough to be back here with you. Last week, we had our beautiful DeQuetta P. Jones, who shared her authenticity in the workplace with us. And we had such a great conversation. We're so thankful to you, DeQuetta, for gracing us with your presence. And so as we move on with season two, there have been some current events happening. But before I get there, let's do some housekeeping. If you have not hit that subscribe button, please do so right now. Hit the like button. Let us get through the algorithm. We're a small platform, but really, we really want to share our information, our conversations, the things that are going on this platform with a wider audience. So we thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. We thank you so much for hitting that like button as we grow and, engage with each other. So if it's your first time tuning in, Black and Beautiful Chit Chat Connections, we focus and center the experiences of people of color in the workplace, but we also talk about different ways to navigate that space. And we talk about power and positionality, authenticity. We talk about, well, we haven't got there yet. All skin folk ain't kin folk. And hey, when I do that episode, y'all better not come for me. We have, understanding BIPOC networks and using BIPOC as a word for solidarity, not a description of people of color. We did, is restorative justice actually restorative? We talked about intrinsic racism. We talked about Willie Lynch led it to a slave. I mean, the list goes on, and it's all for us to learn how to develop this lens and this capacity to have these conversations void of all of the emotions that come along with it as a person of color, and empower you, you know what I mean? Like, to navigate these crazy spaces where we are being macroaggressed. Yes, I'm past microaggression. Ain't nothing micro about that aggression. It was very aggressive and very macro. Nevertheless, sometimes I could go off on a tangent. But if this is your first time tuning in, please go back and listen to some of our other podcasts. We have some great guests. We had Does White Allyship Exist with Peter, my dear friend. He did an amazing job, and we're so thankful for his perspective. And like I said last week, we had DeQuetta Jones, a philanthropist, director, she has so many titles, I can't even say all of them. All I know is she's bomb. And if you guys would like to learn more ways to be authentic in the workplace, please check out that video. We will be inviting her back, and we're super excited for that. So today, usually I have a format, I have like definitions, terms, articles. I'll be doing all kind of stuff to be like, very knowledgeable and logical about how I share information with you all. But today, I'm going to take a different approach. Today, we're going to talk about a current event. And then, after we talk about this current event, I'm going to go and I'm going to respond to a video of Dick Gregory 12 years ago. Rest in peace, Dick Gregory. For those of you who don't know who Dick Gregory is, he was a comedian, then turned into a sociologist. And he is just like an activist for our communities of color and people who come from marginalized groups. He did grow up during the civil rights movement, so his perspective is super nuanced and very, very near and dear to my heart. So I will be reacting to Dick Gregory later on in this episode. But before we get there, we need to talk about your boy Kanye. Yeah, I gotta take a sip of water because I was in a conversation with one of my dear friends this morning, and, they woke up and they clearly went on their timeline. I don't know about any of you, but most of us millennials will roll over and grab our phones. And the first thing we're doing is scrolling through our timeline, after we give God thanks. We're scrolling through our timeline. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but Kanye West and Candace Owens were viewed, let me show you guys, with a t-shirt on that says White Lives Matter. So let me share my screen with you. so that you guys can see what I'm seeing. So this is the post from Candace Owens, who was it's fashion month, fashion week. A lot of different creatives are coming together to show the new line of 2023. And your boy Kanye and Candace take this picture, and Candace just posted with nothing. So I'm on Twitter, and I went and I'm like, okay, does she have like a caption? Like, is there anything else that I need to know? And she just posted this. And as you can see, one of the first tweets 21 hours ago is funny. Then and true. Candace, you're amazing, right? So these are people who literally align with Candace, literally align with Kanye. I don't know if you, like I said, if this is your first time tuning in, then you perhaps may not know this. But for those of you who are part of the Black and Beautiful family, I did Black conservatism. And we discussed the Black conservative, honey. And Candace was one of those Black conservatives, right? What does that mean? What does that look like? Who is a conservative? Who isn't? The Black bourgeoisie? Who isn't? Republicans, Democrats. We went deep. We put on our scuba gear, like my favorite minister, Kevin L.A. Ewing, says. We put on our scuba gear and we got super deep. And less than a month later, she's on here talking about White Lives Matter. Now, let me not say that in a way that I believe that white lives do not matter. Okay, so before I respond, though, because the inflection in your voice could mean things, your body language could mean things, as a person of color, that could mean something more. That could mean something more. That could mean something. Our facial expressions mean things, So I don't want to give any facial expressions yet because, once again, like, we're trying to stay logical, right? We're just going to discuss what happened, the current event. So my friend saw this on her timeline and she was like, I don't even have the time to comprehend right now. Not even comprehend, but like think through. She was like, before I respond to this, I want to know like the context behind it. Why did they do it? And so I made a joke, because Cardi B, when she was on Love and Hip Hop, was like, what was that reason? So for me, my homegirl and I started cracking up. I was like, you want to know what was the reason? What was the reason for this, Candace and Kanye? Now, to take y'all a little bit further, right? Obviously, Twitter, Instagram, social media was up in a roar about this, and there were so many different perspectives on this. So I'm gonna read a quote or a tweet, from Jamil Hill. She's like, so many folks are trying to excuse Kanye's wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt as just a troll move or marketing. Maybe it is, but it's dangerously dumb. It's a dangerously dumb message to send for someone who, with his massive platform. She was like, I've been off, dude. Okay. But y'all go ahead labeling his foolishness as genius. So this has been a conversation around Kanye being so, what's the word? Controversial. With a lot of his happenings, a lot of, his actions, So I wanted to also share with you guys that Lamont Hill, also has something to say. So let me share this with you because I want y'all to see it and I want you to be able to feel it the way I'm feeling it. So Michael Hill says Kanye West's decision to wear a White Lives Matter shirt is disgusting, dangerous, and irresponsible. Some of y'all will rush to defend him. You should ask yourselves why. Now, as we scroll, right, because I like to look at the comments. I don't know if y'all are one of those people, but you ever seen somebody post something on Instagram or post something on Twitter and you see the person like, I'm just here for the comments. That's me. I'm usually just here for the comments. Like, I just want to see what people are saying, right? It doesn't make me any, never mind. But I want to see what people are saying. So I scrolled down. Somebody's first question 19 hours ago was, how is it dangerous? LOL. And then another person says, explain why it's any of those things. And I mean, I don't know if you could see, but those people, are of the white persuasion. So they wondering, well, why can't white lives matter? Why can't they matter? And why is it so bad that Kanye and your girl Candace are legit wearing these t-shirts? One written in black and one written in white, which is so funny, right? Like it alludes to the Oreo of a black person. I don't know if y'all ever heard, but like black white people are called Oreos sometimes. Like, and so like they are an Oreo. And forgive me for laughing. Like really forgive me for laughing. The reason why I'm very playful in this moment, especially on a platform like Black and Beautiful Chit Chat Connections, is because we talk about controversial issues all the time, but I try to present the information in a way that like it's not controversial to spark emotions from you, but more to have you explore some of your intellect around these issues. So I'm being playful about it because white black people are called Oreos. We know Candace and Kanye are considered conservatives. They believe, in free market. They believe in free enterprise. They believe in smaller government. And a lot of those things are aligned with white nationalism and the lens of white supremacy. And so when we dug a little deeper into the conservative ideology, yes, some of those are aligned with whiteness, but that's because it's aligned with like the national branding and thought process of America itself. But the Black conservative believes that those things are not mutually exclusive. Those things can also have the interest of the Black community. And so I saw an additional tweet and I laughed at the tweet because it was like, imagine Kanye opens up an organization called White Lives Matter and legit raises millions of dollars and uses it to buy real estate, right? By exploiting the white community. And to me, I found that to be very interesting, right? I laughed because I thought that was funny because the Black Lives Matter organization has been under investigation for exploiting the Black community and utilizing all of the millions of dollars that it received to buy real estate and homes for themselves. And, over and over again, we've seen them in the news because of that. And so we know that Candace Owens also did a documentary about Black Lives Matter and about the people who were used as a platform to raise money for Black Lives Matter. And she traced the money, and the money did not go to places that you would believe Black lives would matter. And so some people are looking at this as, well, white lives matter because obviously Black lives didn't. So perhaps if we say white lives matter, then we might get some more movement. And or it being the antithesis or the antagonization of what Black Lives Matter, the organization, is. Now, the dangerous piece and disgusting piece and irresponsible piece that I do agree with Mark Lamont Hill about is that a lot of people are not as knowledgeable as Candace Owens and Kanye West and those who have gone and done the research. And so they're looking at this as like, yeah, white supremacy, white lens. That's right. White lives matter through this Ku Klux Klan lens, possibly, right? And that could cause harm to people of color, communities of color. I think that's a real thing that we should talk about. Like, it's a real thing that we should bring up, that we should, be in a space and be able to have that difficult conversation about. But there's a right place for everything. And I don't know what was their reason yet. I can only speculate. So I'm excited to see what comes out of this. And I'm hoping that they didn't just do this just to troll and think that these things are funny because they're people of stature and status who feel untouchable, and they're not recognizing the implications that it could have on those who don't hold that same social, political, or economic power as they do. And I actually like Candace Owens for some reasons because at times I could find myself being aligned with conservative values. And I do believe in some of the things that she says in terms of Black folks are not victims. Like, I'm not a victim. Do not look at me from a deficit model. I agree with that, but you can't agree with everything that people do. And this is one of the things that I don't agree with. And I find it to be a little bit distasteful as I'm sitting here talking to you guys about it. So I wonder how you feel. You know what I mean? Like, if you're feeling froggy, like, leave something in the comments. Like, let's have a conversation in the comments about, how this could be harmful or not harmful. Now, let me make a disclaimer. And I hate the fact that I have to make this a disclaimer because our country's so polarized and people are just like, in my opinion, not as capable of creating their own critical thinking skills, but or developing their own critical thinking skills. I by no means do not think that white lives matter or Asian lives matter. Like I believe all lives matter. I really actually believe that all lives matter. But I also believe in this time, right, at the time of the Black Lives Matter movement, that statement, Black Lives Matter, is needed because Black lives are not accounted for as mattering. Our people died at the hands of white supremacy and racism throughout the historical context of this country, and we can still see some of that perpetuated in our systems, our structures, our policies, our procedures, and the people that are carrying them out. So for me, all lives do matter, but Black lives in this moment are the ones that are being threatened. So that solidarity piece is super important if we want to be change makers for the future. And so I personally would probably wear All Lives Matter t-shirt. But then again, what's the negative connotation to All Lives Matter? It's the antithesis of Black Lives Matter because people are mad because people say Black lives are mattering. Like, let me calm down because I can't get into the nuances of it. It's not smart. It's not logical. It's not critical thinking. And on this platform, we said we're a professional platform with an authentic twist. So as authentic as I would like to, as I am being in this moment, I also have to be authentic in saying, like, some stuff is just flat out dumb. And like, some people are just not that smart. And I'm sorry that I'm saying it in this way. And we're not going to go back and forth about dumbness. But it's good for conversation if you're able to intellectualize things and you're able to find yourself in a space where, like, yes, you might feel emotions about it, but you could talk about those things and you can work through how to better your lens and how to grow that lens. Like I said, I'm excited to see what comes out of this. I know people are in an uproar, and once the timeline switches to something else, which will be like less than 24 hours, maybe we'll get some more background into what was that reason. Shout out to Cardi B. What was that reason? I use that all the time. I really love that meme too. Like, what was the reason? Because I need to know. I need to know why. So me and my homegirl, another thing that and then I'll close out about Kanye and Candace. Kanye has been known to be the walking rebel. He's the walking antithesis of societal norms. I mean, you can see it through the business deals that he's made, love decisions, family decisions, friend decisions. Like, he is the walking antithesis of societal norms. And I think he does that on purpose, right? And this is just one other way that he feels he can be a rebel. While also holding conservative values and while also using his race and his children's ethnicity and race as a means to, describe systemic injustices and oppression that he faces. Kanye gets to just do whatever he wants. Whatever he wants. I'm sorry, guys. I really am so sorry. This man gets to do whatever he wants, say whatever he wants. He's a billionaire. You know, that doesn't mean it's logical. Just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you're logical. I find him to be very smart. I don't think he's dumb. I think everything is calculated, but he is the walking antithesis of societal norms. And I feel like that is across the board. This t-shirt is not, oh, Kanye one time. It's like, this is like decades of Kanye. George Bush doesn't like black people, or George Bush hates black people. Like, Kanye been doing this stuff. So I mean, you know, for people to be that surprised about him wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt when he's openly expressed how he feels about Black Lives Matter. I mean, and I'm talking about the organization, not the movement. So please do your research. There's a difference. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So anyway, like I said, if you guys want to join the conversation, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave a comment. Like, let me know what you thought about this. Like, I would love to know your thoughts about Kanye and your girl Candace and a t-shirt that looks like an Oreo. They wore it like Oreos. Like, not only do they have a t-shirt that says White Lives Matter, Candace wore the white one with black writing, and he wore the black one with white writing. You guys, I might be thinking a little too deep. Some people are like, oh, you dragged it. I might have dragged it a little bit, but significant. I mean, makes your mind wander, right? Makes you think a little bit more about like, what are y'all trying to say? What is this statement? What was that reason? Anyway, guys, I'm having so much fun. I want to continue right now because as I promised you, today I'm going to be responding to Dick Gregory. And like I said, Dick Gregory is in my opinion, a mogul. And not a mogul like Harry Potter. And I know a mogul is like somebody who's like a billionaire and they have influence and they're philanthropic and I just feel as though Dick Gregory is somebody who goes down in history for me. I'm going to read you a little bit of his bio. Unfortunately, I'm giving you the synopsis. So the synopsis is from Wikipedia. Like I said, Wikipedia sometimes can be a good resource, but if you're writing research papers and so on and so forth, I would refrain from Wikipedia. For the purposes of YouTube, we can use it. So anyway, Richard Claxon Gregory. Dick Gregory was an American comedian, civil rights leader, and vegetarian activist. I feel like he was more than all of that, but nevertheless, his writings were bestsellers. Gregory became popular among the African American communities in the southern United States with his no-holds-barred sets, poking fun at bigotry and racism in the United States. So as he started to get older, it wasn't poking fun. Now it was like, I'm going to use my platform to inform my people so they can be better and than they were yesterday. And I seriously align with that. I align with that to my core. Everything that we do as people of color, in my opinion, should be a direct reflection of what we want to see in our neighbor, what we want to see in our brothers and our sisters, and people who are my sister from another mother, my brother from another mother. Like, we should want to see that in one another. So for me, Dick Gregory is somebody who is significantly influential in my lens, and how I see things from time to time, and you know how I aspire to be able to speak, and people say, you know what, yeah, that makes sense. So we're going to watch a Dick Gregory. It's a 5 minutes from 12 years ago, right? And this video has 1.3 million views. And the title is Dick Gregory's Advice to Young African Americans. And African Americans, yes, but obviously people of color in solidarity, our indigenous people, our Latino people, our Hispanic people, our Asian people, or anybody who's in solidarity with Blackness in this country, this is for you, right? This is what he left with us. So here we go. I'm going to play it. And as I play it, I'll respond, right? So we'll watch it together and then we'll respond together. And like I said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to join the conversation, leave a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts about this. So let's get into it.
Don't make the mistake that most of his mothers and fathers made. When I wake up in the morning, my prayer is not thank God I woke up. The Ku Klux Klan woke up this morning. The drug pushers woke up this morning. I thank God that I made another 24 hours in the most vicious, nasty, hateful, insane nation that's ever existed with my wits, without hating, without being bitter, without being mean.
Now, a lot of people might be a little bit like, I'm not about to thank God for no Ku Klux Klan member, but I'll thank him for the drug dealer. Or I'm about to thank God for no drug dealer, but I'll thank him for the Ku Klux Klan member. Or I'm not thanking God for either one of them because I'm above everybody, right? What he's trying to say is your place in life, right, was designed for you. I don't know if you all are familiar with the story of Esther, but her uncle Mordecai told her, you were chosen for a time such as this, which means that Esther, there could have only been one Esther to call on the children of Israel to go on a 3-day fast so she could get favor before the king to save her people. You were chosen for a time such as this. So be thankful for your time such as this, right? And so that's what he's trying to explain. It seems like when you get older, you start to appreciate all of the occurrences of your life, whether they're good or bad, because you recognize that they've molded you to be who you are today. All right, let's keep it going.
I thank God that I survived 24 hours in that type of atmosphere with the type of amusement and friendliness. And so I would say to young folks, don't be in a state of denial of the racism and sexism.
All right, so remember I told y'all in the beginning where when Black people make faces, ooh, or ooh, or ooh, I'm gonna make a face. I have been around individuals who have been in denial about racism, bias, macroaggressions, and so on and so forth. And I understand that it's a tactic to preserve, right, your own sanity, but they turn up in different ways because you still, while you're enduring racism, you're still internalizing that trauma that you're experiencing. And that can manifest in sickness, confusion, depression, high blood pressure, heart disease, all these ailments that they say Black people to leading people in the world with. Well, I wonder, could it be correlated to the trauma of racism that we face, like Dick Gregory just said, for 24 hours in a day? Let's keep going. Don't be in denial.
But don't let that block you. Don't teach your children that you have to be twice as good as a white. That's an awful thing to teach.
I was taught that, right? I was taught that before I even stepped into an arena with my white counterparts, I have to be twice as good as they are to get half of what they get. Now, I don't fully agree with him about that, but I'm gonna let him finish his thought, and then I'm gonna go. I'll share my perspective.
That's like saying because you're black, white America has a right to change your dollar for 94 cents. But we used to get 50 cents, and before that, we used to get nothing. Young folks have to say, we don't want more change for a dollar. Excuse me, we want a full dollar's change for a dollar, or this cash register will never ring again.
Yes.
Nah. The reason why I said I don't fully agree with him is because I had to look at it from this perspective. Yes, I want my full dollar change, right? But if I'm twice as good as you are, I want my full dollar and an extra 50 cents on that dollar. Because I know that my people created this country, my people built this country, my people built the fringe that you get to experience. And on top of that, everything that I do, you're expecting me to do twice as good. So give me my dollar and then give me 50 cents on top of that dollar or an extra dollar on top of that dollar. And I don't even want to say forgive me because I'm being real. This is a professional platform with an authentic twist. I just had a conversation with, a person of color who is a professional. And we literally had to think about whether or not we wanted to take an $85,000 job and get paid for $85,000 worth of work, or take a $150,000 job and get paid $150,000 for $300,000 work. That was a conversation. So when I say I don't fully agree with him, right, it's because I want to take it a step further. Like I said, this was 12 years ago, but the thought process is very, very valuable. I just feel like pay us for reparations. Reparations. Let's keep it going.
I would also like for young blacks to understand that about 83% of all employment happen with small businesses. And if you don't have a small business, then you have nobody to work for you. And I would say to young blacks, get into entrepreneurship. We will never catch up with white America till we get into business, because there's a thing called tax write-offs.
Now, entrepreneurship. Let's do this. My good sister Quetta in authenticity in the workplace said, we got to start our own, right? Start your own business, your own nonprofit. Find out the difference between a C Corp and an S Corp and what an LLC looks like. What do your board members have to look like? What are he's going into taxes. He's going to give you a piece of your taxes. What are the ways in which you can have generational wealth and freedom? He's giving you one avenue: business, small business. And you know what? I want to say shout out to every single entrepreneur that is a person of color that came out of COVID-19. Shout out to every entrepreneur that did not go under during COVID-19 and was a person of color. Now, shout out to my white entrepreneurs as well. But we're talking about the equity wealth gap, the wealth gap. We're talking about the pay gap. We're talking about economic access to economic resources, the residential segregation. We're talking about all of these different systemic structures that have held communities of color, have held them down and have oppressed them. One of the ways in which we dig ourselves out of that is through free enterprise and free market. Now, forgive me, that is a conservative ideology, but entrepreneurship is, and I wanted to just make it light, but entrepreneurship is very important. It is extremely important. So if you are interested, I did a video with Nat and we talked about entrepreneurship. Go down and scroll down into my videos. We talked about entrepreneurship. We talked about what it looks like for the black community. How do we get to a space where we are economically free? And we talked about ways and tips that you can use in order to open up your own business. LegalZoom can be one of them. If you are a black accountant, if you are someone who knows how to start a business, drop your contact in the comments below so we can get in contact with you and we can start opening up our businesses. You would be surprised how little it costs to open up your business. If you're still holding on to that stimmy money and you ain't gonna get no BBL and you ain't gonna get your teeth done or your neck done, you still holding on to your stimmy money. You like, I don't know what to do. Do I invest in real estate? Do I do open up your business? Buy your real estate under your LLC. People on Instagram who are talking about these things, they're not lying to you. All right. All right. So he's gonna get into the taxes piece. And if you guys watched the conservative, the black conservative version, there was a young lady who was a black conservative who talked about this taxes piece that she was holding on to as a Republican, as a conservative that is a Republican, because her business would thrive with these types of tax breaks and write-offs. So Dick Gregory is going to give us a little bit of insight into that.
And if you have a job and come together, 10 of you, and open up a corporation and have somebody run it, you hire somebody to run it.
I'm telling you right now, we need to do this. Guys, I have been saying this for years, trying to get my friends together, trying to get us 10 of us, $100 a pop, $1,000 a pop. We could start our own foundations. We could be our own philanthropists. But we got to get past the fact that if I don't agree with you or your ideologies, I can't work with you. Our counterparts don't think that way. You don't have to like somebody to do business with them. They just got to be a good business person. Let's get together and let's antagonize the status quo and live out our ancestors' dreams. I'm going to let him finish.
But you have tax write-offs. 98% of people that fly first class on airplanes would not be there if that wasn't a write-off. And yet, on that first class, they gave away last year $800 million, almost $1 billion of free whiskey. But if a welfare mother asked for some apple juice for the baby, she's laughed at. And so I would say entrepreneurship, and then understand that we will never survive as a group until we get into communities and not neighborhoods. A community is, I control the police, the banks, the schools, the firefighters, and I control the flow of the money. And I have no problem when I go in a Jewish neighborhood and the shop owners are Jewish, and I go into an Italian neighborhood, shop owners are Italian. I have a problem when I come in a black neighborhood.
Sorry, guys. You know, the internet's acting up, but I think that means that I need to stop and have this conversation with y'all. Elijah Muhammad had a very eloquent and hey, I don't know the drama around Elijah Muhammad. I don't know the drama around Malcolm X. I know I heard the rumors, but that doesn't have anything to do with what I'm talking about right now. Just listen really quickly. Elijah Muhammad came up with like a rubric of how the black community can ensure that their wealth stays in the black community. So he broke it down and he talked about the dollar, right? And he said the dollar in the white community, and please forgive me because I might have the wrong time frames, but I'm just going to give you an example just so we can follow. The dollar in the white community stays in the white community for 2 months. The dollar in the Asian community stays in the community for 1.5 months. The dollar in the Latino community stays in the community for 6 days. The dollar in the Arabic community stays in the community for a week and a half. The dollar in the black community stays in the community for 3 hours, 3 to 6 hours. which means we're not flipping the dollar in our own communities, which means, and don't get me wrong, this was 12 years ago, but this is still relevant, which means that we are not supporting our own people economically to ensure that the wealth starts to accumulate in our own country. In our own communities. So what happens is we have been programmed as the Black consumer to believe that we need to spend our money in other communities in order for our dollar to be valuable. They have duped us. I literally sat in a DEI training at a conference, and they had a white woman who was giving, and I'm not saying white women can't be DEI professionals, but they had a white woman who was giving feedback on her DEI lens, and she sat in front of a group of Black individuals who are DEI practitioners, guys, and she said, "I'm an expert in the Black consumer." Like I told y'all, okay? Guys, recognize your own power. That is what this platform is about. Let's recognize our own power where we're not harming anybody, right? We know what white supremacy does. We know what white nationalism can do. But there are allies out there. There are people out there who want to help. And then you get to help yourself. Think about us first.
And the shop owners is not me. A Korean has a right.
I'm going to run this back.
This is not me. I go in a Jewish neighborhood and the shop owners are Jewish, and I go into an Italian neighborhood and shop owners are Italian. I have a problem when I come in a Black neighborhood and the shop owners is not me. A Korean has a right to come in and buy my shop for $30 million more than it's worth. That's good business. But if we decide that we're not going to do business with that boy, then he'll have to sell it back, or she'll sell it back to a Black person for $1 million. Yes. And then the money circulates, and that's how you change. We've been so busy dealing with the hurt and the pain and the misery and glamorizing a handful that have made it, that we have never.
Boop, boop. Did he just say glamorizing a handful who have made it? Do we not still do that stinking 12 years later? Oh, gosh, boy. We still are glamorizing the handful who have made it. We got to stop. They are not the anomaly. And I don't want to sound like I'm selling dreams, but like, we could do that too. Who said we can't do that? Who said that we can't be financially, economically, and politically free to make the decisions that we believe are best for us and our communities? Who said we can't? I'm going to let the man finish.
Never really looked at, like they say, your role model. If you haven't got a role model in your house, you should fall on your knees and pray to God, because something is wrong.
Yes.
And so I would say to young folks, it's not about alcohol, but it's hard for me to say that to you when a 5-year-old got to reach past mama's beer and papa's wine to get some mayonnaise. I would also say to young folks that the number one drug that will wipe you out is not cocaine, it's not heroin, it's marijuana. And they deliberately make that a recreation drug, but it stays in the muscles, it stays in the blood.
Ooh! Don't tell a weed smoker that. Don't tell a weed. Matter of fact, share this video. Share this Dick Gregory video with your entire family. And if you want them to laugh and have some fun and critically think, share my video with them, right? So that y'all could think about the implications that some of these social norms have on our community. And we're targeted by these social norms.
time in the history of TV that TV has always been known as poor folks. It's the first time that TV is not running rampant in the ghetto. It's running rampant in middle income white America. Because
TB is tuberculosis, for those of you who don't know. So he already went into economics, housing. Now he's in healthcare. You realize how nuanced this is?
or it's the marijuana that they spray, and that's no accident. And so I would just say to young folks, you have to reevaluate everything you've been taught. I would say
You have to antagonize your lens. Antagonize the indoctrination of your lens. Be open to seeing things from different perspectives. Be open to continuous learning. It's not a one size fits all. As you grow, your brain expands. Your neurons are firing. You're releasing different types of hormones that make you change and mature and think and open your mind. Most importantly, the creator, our God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob made you a machine, made you that way. Open up your mind. There's no way you can have a connection to the Lord without opening up your mind and recognizing his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. So there's even more to explore when you recognize, oh my goodness, I am but a vapor, as John tells us. Your life is a vapor. Spend time opening your mind to different ideas, different ways of thinking, elevation of thought, continued learning. You don't know that word? Go look it up. Find out what the definition is. Use context clues. We have to get out of this.
black folks, just because a black person is 90 years old don't mean they have wisdom, and you need to listen to them. Because if you was dumb and stupid when you was 9, you dumb and stupid when you 90.
oh, oh my gosh. I'm sorry. He said if you was dumb and stupid at 9, you gonna be dumb and stupid at 90. You see why I'm saying it's so important to get it, to have education. And education doesn't mean the indoctrination of like societal education. It means reading books, opening your mind to different thoughts, different ideas. What I just said. And recognizing that everything in your life has brought you to this moment. You were created for a time such as this. So guys, I just want, you know me, I'm going to leave us with just some time to think about this stuff, right? Like I love y'all with the love of the Lord. I love y'all with the love of Christ, but there are things that we can expand on. There are ways that we can be better than we were yesterday. And on Black and Beautiful Chit Chat Connections, we are a professional platform with an authentic twist, and that is our goal. Our goal is to get you to expand your thinking, to get you to expand your ideas, to introduce you to topics and conversations that are already happening so that you can bring them into your sphere and you can start utilizing what you're learning in your own scope. All right. Well, nevertheless, it was a pleasure being with you. We went from Kanye to Dick Gregory. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna close out with the GOAT Dick Gregory, man. If y'all don't know who he is, look him up, share the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and come back to see us next time on Black and Beautiful Chit Chat Connections, where we chit, we chat, and honey, we connect. I'll see y'all later. Peace.